Today I'm kitbashing a Night Lord's Jump Lord. And I owe you guys one of these because I did a poll on my channel and in the Discord about what you would want me to do with Ethan Sean, the new Raven Guard Jump Lord. And it was kind of 50-50 between go wild and turn him into a Night Lord, and I went wild and turned him into a broken Eagle Warrior, infected by Nurgle and hunting the demon that infected him and makes him suffer. That video is on the channel already. So today I'm doing the Night Lord Jump Lord, and you know, it's Halloween anyway, so why not? But I'm not going to start with the regular Chaos Lord Jump Lord, you know, this guy over here. Because if I look at him, I don't see Night Lord. There's a little flappy bit of skin over there, but the weapons, you know, he can come with double claws, but they're also not really Night Lord, vicious lightning claws. So I might use his backpack, and I like his trophy racks, but I'm gonna start with one of the Nemesis Claw models, and that's the Skin Thief in particular. That's the guy who has sort of an apron of human skin. Let me show you. This guy over here. And he has this massive two-handed glaive, which I also like a lot. I've seen the Horus Heresy jump pack infantry, and they come with these massive chain axes, and I think it looks brutal. But the Night Lord's Warglaive that comes with the Nemesis Killteam box is a little puny. I mean, look at it. That's not a Warglaive. This is a Warglaive. It's way more vicious and has two sides of chain and a nasty metal hook over there. And this comes from the World Eaters Eightbound sprue. So if you have a World Eaters player near you and you're a Night Lord's player, check them if they have some leftover sprues, because this is all left over after I built my 8-bound or my exalted 8-bound. You got this weapon over here, you got a massive chain axe, you got something like this, you can put that on top of his staff and make a nice glaive out of it too. There's lots and lots of really cool chain weapons on the World Eater sprues, on the 8-bound sprues. So I'm gonna give him a much bigger glaive by snipping this off and pinning it in place, and this way I can give him a little bit of extra length as well as extra girth. Time to work on his jump pack, but I also got to figure out the exact pose that I want for this, because I have over here the Abhorrent Gorewarden from the Flesh Eater Courts, and I really like those wings, so I'm definitely gonna see if I can fit those on. But I also want to make him sort of stand on the ledge of a building, like he's standing far above the crowd and he's ready to dive down. And I did something kind of similar with my Night Lord's Abaddon, but I went for a slightly lower positioning because I wanted to make him look like a proper proxy for Abaddon, so people can use him as Abaddon. But this guy is going to get massive wings, so it doesn't really matter how high or how low I put him on a base. I can build a whole building if I want, because he's going to be way too tall for a Night Lord Jump Lord anyway. So it doesn't really matter. And I did something similar with this guy. This is my Night Lord's Demon Prince. He's kind of perched on a building, but it's still on the ground, as you can see with the Cadian over there. So I really want to make it look like he is standing way up, way above street level, ready to jump down. By the way, if you want to see either of these, they're on my channel already, and I think they worked out pretty well. It's something like this, where he's, I mean, this is not the ruin I want to use, but he's stepping off the edge of a building, and it's not a gracious jump, you know, this isn't Batman or Buzz Lightyear sort of zooming down. No, this is a Predator that's on top of the building, and it's just about to drop down, like a massive tank just hits the ground exactly where his prey is, not his enemies, his prey. So like this, and then I want the wings to sort of stand up, sort of help him balance out while he is standing there. So one side of the Abhorrent Gorewarden's wings are okay, the other side I'm gonna have to cut free from half of the body, and I think I can use that body as some base decoration later, who knows. Here's something like that, or rather the other way around. So he steps off that ledge, ready to crash down. I really gotta do some proper base work with this guy, because I want to really make it look like there's some abyss, like he's standing on the edge of a building and he's gonna jump down. But now that he has these wings, I don't have space on the back for a proper Space Marine stabilizer backpack or a jump pack or anything like that, so I just gotta do something else. And I think these trophy racks from the original Chaos Jump Lord are a pretty decent solution. I mean, they're nice and curved. I think I can fit them in the back. I'm just gonna cut off the stabilizers from a regular Chaos backpack, so he still has a power unit. So I just stuck everything on his back. Now he has two of these trophy racks. After all, he's a lord. More trophies, bigger trophy rack. And the wings are there. They are pinned in place. And I know, yeah, you can just see over there, there's little bits of the pin still visible. I gotta fill that up with some sprue glue. But I also have the cloak from the leader of the Nemesis Claw kill team. And I think I can still fit this over here. I'm just not gonna attach it right now. I'm not gonna glue it in place because I want to paint this separately. Make the cloak like really nice and fleshy looking. And then he would be standing on a ledge like this. I also want to improve the weapon a little bit more. But I need to fix that base first, so I know how he's standing, so I can have chains hanging off him and make sure that the chains actually hang straight down. And now, even though I'm not using this piece that I had him standing on, modeling him with, I still quite like the height. So I'm gonna see if I can make something out of this XPS foam blocks that is more or less the same height, but just a straight wall up. And then I'm gonna take this little piece of terrain and I'm gonna stick it right here onto the wall, but I'm gonna make sure that it sort of sticks out above the wall, like it's a decorative lintel piece at the top of a building that goes all around the building. Let's make sure it's straight. And then to finish the whole illusion of this being high up, I'm gonna attach a lamp, and I'm thinking of putting it right here. Because this way also it shows like that's not the ground over there. The bottom of this base is not the ground, because nobody hangs a lamp there like this. It would just get in the way of anybody walking. And this way I might get a nice little bit of OSL going as well once everything's in place. Yeah, something like that. I added a little bit of grout with some texture paste. It's cement texture paste from AK. It doesn't really matter. I'm gonna add some more details, and that's a water spout like this. So this comes from the Chaos Rhino, and this is my makeup sponge that I use for reducing enamels whenever I paint with enamels. And I can just clip this off, turn it into a little pipe, glue it into the mouth, and then I stick it in there to make it look like it is coming right out of the wall underneath that lintel that I have. And then it's time for his pose. Now, I think I can't do what I want. See, I wanted him to sort of hang over this ledge as if he's just stepping off the ledge and dropping down. But the problem is, if I do that, you can't see the mini. Like this, if you're standing on the tabletop or on a display cabinet, he's sort of hunched over looking down, and you can't really get a view of the model. So I think I'm just gonna have to pose him like this, standing here with his foot sort of over the edge, kind of like this, ready to jump down. But at least you get to see the whole miniature and he's not completely obscured. So I'm just gonna see if I can get a pin in his foot, actually figure out where he's gonna stand, and then I'm gonna embellish the mini a little bit more. And I think he's going right here with his back foot on a piece of rubble with a pin through it so that he stands securely in place. I'm gonna smoosh him down a little bit, make that bit of rubble dent in, because I also like the idea that Space Marines are so heavy that they sort of break the floor that they stand on if it's not specifically made to carry the weight of a Space Marine. And like this, I think he's standing like a proper Night Lord's Lord. The head is still not completely in place, so I can angle it properly, make sure it's actually looking at something. But it's time that I fix these weapons. This cap over here, that needs to be looking a bit better. And I think the weapon by itself looks a little bit bland and boring at the moment. So this bit is easy, just wrap a little bit of chain around it. And when he stands, I can super glue all those links in place so that they hang down perfectly all the time. You don't have them flapping around. But I like this piece over here. This comes from the Drukhari. One of their transports or something has these weird hooks hanging on them. Oh, there goes the Lord. Well, I'm sure he's okay. And then I can maybe see if I can fit this onto his handle at the end of that weapon that he has. Like that. Awesome. And it might give me opportunity to glue the hooks to the building as well. Just give it a little bit of reinforcement so it doesn't just fall off right away. And it's time to paint some Grimdark Night Lords. And on my previous 2 Night Lord videos, people commented that I made the blue way too dark. I guess they got a lot of light pollution on Nostromo, so this time I'll go a little bit brighter. So I'll do a base layer of some Night Lord's blue, and this is Techless blue for a really bright highlight. But of course, I'm gonna shade it, grime it, rust it up, all of that stuff, so it will darken down quite a lot. But for now I'm just blocking in some colors, and the wings, they're gonna be proper nasty demonic bat wings. So pretty bright, pretty white, but also kind of red in there so that it looks like it's still some blood running through, and it's not a good thing that he has these wings. You know, I keep saying it in my videos, great power comes with great suffering, and since this is a Night Lord's Jump Lord, so possibly one of the highest leading lords of the Night Lords, except of course for the Terminators, he needs to be proper suffering. So I've done some Celestra Grey and Rockart Flesh stippling, and it's still very rough. That's what I want. I'm going to use enamels later on to make it all look awful. But I want to highlight a little bit, so I got some Grey Sear, which is one of the brightest greys you can get. And I got to keep in mind that the light source, where he's standing, is coming from the bottom. So I can't just shade like I normally do it and highlight like I normally do, that the light is coming from the top. The light is going to come from there, and it's going to hit that wing pretty hard. So I'm going to have to make it quite a lot lighter than it is right now. Now it's time for the flayed skin, and they're all starting out the exact same way. First I did some Rockart Flesh, now I'm going to stipple with some Bugman's Glow, and I got some Cadian Flesh Stone and Flayed One Flesh, and it's just to make it look rough, kind of skin colored and pretty bright. So I can go over the separate pieces on this cloak with some different shades. So this is Rightland Flesh shade, I got some Agrax Earth shade, I got some Seraphim Sepia, and I pick out the different parts of the cloak so it doesn't look like it's all coming from a single guy. And I'm gonna do the same with the flesh that's hanging off his armor. See, like that. That way I have different skin colors and it doesn't look like it's all coming from one guy. It's more like a mottled variety of people that he's used for his cloak. And I've done the same with the skulls on his trophy rack. So it's also, again, more of a collection and less of a one time he got all the skulls and now they all look the same. Anyway, it's time for everybody's favorite part of painting miniatures, and that's the armor trim. And I'm going straight for the brightest silver. But then it's time for the fun part. The grime, the gore, the dirt, the rust. And I'm gonna begin with these wings because they're so important part of the miniature. And I really want to make it look awful. It's not a good thing to be a space marine in my corner of the 40k universe. So I'm going all out with all the villainy inks and enamels. This is Caput Mortem, this nice sort of burgundy red. Good for these wings. And then I'm gonna mix that a little bit with some Colia green, especially on the fleshy bits and around it. That looks alright, but it's not looking like he's suffering enough. So let's put in a little bit more red with some Carrion Crimson and some Decrepit Filth and Ochre just for some variety in the shading and in the skin. There, that looks like a set of wings where most people would say, hey, you know what? I'll just walk. I don't need flight. And after this dries, it will be nice and matte and really nasty. I think I might give it another pass with some extra Carrion Crimson to make it look a little bit more infected, a little bit more agitated and just painful. But I have the Carrion Crimson here and I got some more skin cloaks to do. So I'm going to start adding little bits of red to this as well. But especially around the edges. Make it look like the skin is just ripped off somebody and then stitched together into a cloak. So there's still some blood around the edges. Yeah, we're getting somewhere with this skin. I still need to let it dry, sculpt the red a little bit. But it's time for his armor. And I'm going to start with a little bit of Decrepit Filth. Just a little bit of a wash to dull everything down, give it a little bit of shading, and then I'm going to start working on some rust. So skipping forward a little bit, so the rust is done. I added quite a bit here on this chain and also that chain, a little bit here on the blade, the parts where it doesn't cut with, and of course that element, that sort of heating element or the cover for where the power unit is in the sword, that also gets hot so it rusts. The exhausts on the vents here on the backpack, the chains that are hanging down. And I also started working on the base. And here I added quite a lot of rust. I wanted to make it look like it's some sort of cast iron piece over here. And I started to work a little bit on the light as well, just to have a bit of an idea of what sort of color light I want. I don't want it to be super bright, something deep orangey, sort of super warm, and only really hitting the glow over here and sort of shining up a little bit against the Night Lord that's standing above it. But it's time for a little bit of blood effects, because can never have enough blood effects. This channel is called Fog of Gore for a reason. So I got some Zombie Core and Vampire Thirst from Two Thin Coats. One is just Blood for the Blood God, the other is a dark version of Blood for the Blood God. And my goal here is to make it look like these flaps of skin are super fresh. So there's this fold where one piece is folded over another. I want to make it look like there's a bit of blood or juices just trapped between them and then sort of dripping down from there. Because I don't want to make this look like it's a tanned piece of skin like parchment or a leathery bit. Now this is fresh stuff. There he is, just dripping and dripping with blood. I also went through all of the holes in his wings because I figured, you know, it's a space marine. He has supernatural healing abilities, so he can't go flying around with tattered wings. They would just heal back. So this must be very fresh bullet holes in his wings. So they're all leaking and bleeding and a little bit of extra blood among the wings. And of course, all of his skin bits and his tools over there, everything is dripping. Like I really want him to sort of just have a constant drip of blood coming down as he's standing on top of that perch. Speaking of, it's time to do a little bit of OSL. And I got one of these grabber thingies that Nate the Feral Painter has in one of his videos. And it's really nice. You get to grab sponge and then use it to stipple. So you don't have sponges that you constantly have to throw away. You don't have to use tweezers, so you don't have to cramp your hand while you're trying to do some OSL. And I already started a little bit. I just want to make it look like this lamp isn't super bright. It needs to give a little bit of a glow, just enough to give that impression that there's light shining up against the Night Lord. But for the rest, it just needs to stay pretty dark. It's not really working the way I wanted. The orange kind of hides in the rust, so I'm going for a more reddish tone instead. And then I can make the edges of all of the metals really shine super bright with some orange. Really give it that sort of shine, that sparkle that comes from getting lit up. So some white lines on the edges, and then I can go over that with some Flash Gits yellow to sort of get that reflection going. Now, it still needs to blend a little bit, and I gotta put the Lord in place to get some light on him as well. So let's fit him onto his base and see how I can get those hooks to also start glowing. And of course, I still gotta attach his nice skin cloak. And while I put his head in place, I'd like to remind you that I have a Discord. The link is in the description and in the comments below. And there's lots of cool people in there helping each other with their kit bashes, sharing ideas, lots of creativity. And I'm gonna do more with the community kit bashing, so you guys have an influence over what I'm doing and what I'm gonna kit bash. So let's take a look at this finished Night Lord, Jump Lord kit bash. And my Night Lord's Jump Lord is done. And I am really happy with how he turned out. Pipoca needs to go for a walk, so let me finish this real quick. I like making this. I like that he looks way more than a Night Lord than the original Night Lord's, the regular Jump Lord. I also like that he's not Ethan Sean. Everybody's been doing Ethan Sean recently. Mine was turned into a corrupted eagle, and I think this screams Night Lords a whole lot more. The wings are good. They seem to hurt, which is exactly what I want. Powers from the gods come with all kinds of suffering and nastiness attached. You really don't want to be messing with the Chaos Gods, and I'm sure the Soul Hunter would agree with that. Now, like I said, join the Discord, and a massive thank you to my patrons and channel members. You guys rock. Your support is incredible. Thank you very much. And maybe go check out one of my other Night Lord videos now.